like it might be evening out. But with the KP index still very high, it's certainly plausible that we could get another wave. They just might become slowly further apart over time.
That's not unreasonable. I mean, that kind of makes most things in science would work that way. So that wouldn't be at all shocking if that were the case in this situation. So that makes sense.
According to the data, it says that we reached, we're actually encountering another small substorm at this moment, but they're fluctuating a lot less. So maybe it's the atmosphere trying to equalize itself, or the ionosphere.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That could be that could definitely be the case. I have our reminder up there. We do live shows at 5, 6, and 10 p.m., 6:37 and 10 o'clock show coming up here in just a few seconds, where we're going to kind of re-rack things here. And we do appreciate everyone for, again, watching us here on Mississippi Live Weather and supporting us here. We will kind of start that show up here in a second. We'll talk to Adrian about his predictions on where we're going from here. But Mississippi Live Weather at 10 o'clock starts here in just a moment.
We found 2+ Smiles when our kids outgrew their pediatric dentist, and my husband and I wanted a place where the whole family could be taken care of.
As far as technology goes, there is nobody more advanced than 2+ Smiles.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Welcome to Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Maybe we've been doing space weather a little more than we usually do here so far this evening. And hopefully that's been something that you have enjoyed. It's not often we get auroras here in Mississippi, and very rare that they last more than a few minutes to tens of minutes. But tonight has been a night where, well, there's no question, we have had some incredible visibility of what's going up there in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and just so excited to see that, and hoping that's something that continues a little bit longer if it's something that you have in fact missed. So our headlines this evening, did you see it? We know so many of you have had about 370 photos sent in just in the Mississippi Live Weather app, where we have the location. We can kind of show that coming up here in a couple minutes, because they've been from all around the country that have been sent in, whether you're watching us here or elsewhere. We're also looking at clear and dry conditions tonight, which has been one of the things that's allowed us to be able to see those as we've gone through the evening, and temperatures trending warmer. One of the big stories, along with eventually some rain chances that we are looking at there in the extended forecast. But looking through the first 12 here, again, 11 p.m. we're 39. It's not like it's exactly warm out there as we're enjoying, or maybe not enjoying, these cold temperatures, but at least the view has been great. 38, 2 o'clock in the morning, 38 for around 5 a.m. The thinking is maybe we drop a couple more degrees from where we're at this point here. I honestly think it's probable that we'll have some spots still mid-30s out there for tomorrow morning. That's something we'll look at in a little more detail come up here a couple minutes. But tomorrow we do build in the 60s, which is warmer than today, and probably middle to upper 60s as we head toward the afternoon. Outside right now in Clarksdale, we show up with what are those mostly clear skies. Not much red showing up in that shot there. I'm going to bring it back in here and bring it back full screen here for a moment. That fades behind me for a second, and we show some of your pictures, because again, that has been one of the big headlines tonight. You guys have just really shown up with all of the photographs here across North Mississippi of all of these shots of the aurora, the northern lights. Gabe, while I'm pulling this up, if you will also add to our rundown that northern light aurora, set of graphics there that kind of those explainers will show that. But I mean, just some amazing shots coming in tonight, trying to show some of the newer ones here. We showed Asia with some pillars in Algoma a little bit ago. Looks like she's resubmitted that one there. This shot here showing that things are maybe waning just a little bit. This picture, we'll get the information on that. This is Boonville, sent in at 9:51, so a few minutes ago. Not quite as impressive as what we had earlier on, so maybe a little bit past the peak as far as that is concerned, but certainly talking to one of our at least experts and maybe he'd hate that I call him as much there, but Adrian with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers, I'm going to actually bring in your shot. I know that, and it'll take me a second to kind of bring it up here behind the scenes. You might, if you're able to get to some light, we could look at you here for a second on the camera on that shot. But I know you're obviously trying to avoid light so you can take pictures. So kind of up to you on how that works. I'm going to bring Adrian's shot in here for a second. And thank you again for joining us here on Mississippi Live Weather.
Okay. Awesome. So you have my shot right here. Were you looking to see a picture of the current state of the sky, or did you want to have me talk to y'all for a second?
Well, let's see the current state of the sky, and then let's have you talk, because we've kind of utilized you as one of our experts this evening, because you, my wife likes to refer to everything we do here as the various nerd chats, and so in my local weather nerd chat, you are our Aurora guy, and because nobody gets more excited than you do about them. So that looks like a fairly recent photo, and that still looks pretty visible, right?
Yes, absolutely. We've got some lingering reds overhead of my location right now. It seems to be fanning out, not as focused as it once was, but absolutely still a good show.
Okay, so and we'll bring you back on camera here for a second, kind of talk through this. There are a lot of different layers to what has happened and what could kind of happen here going forward. One of which is the fact that you have the main wave that comes in, but then you have some of these substorms, so to speak, that come in as well, where we've had some of the relative major peaks. It's, I think in your assessment, likely that we probably are, past maybe the major substorms that go along with this. Is that a fair assessment to say?
I would say certainly past the main peak of the initial waves once the coronal mass ejections impacted us not too a couple of hours ago. But we're still getting the lingering effects up and down. It's just not as perhaps vivid as it once was.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you for being kind of our eyes out there in the field on this. Let us know if you see it kind of picking up a little bit more. And thank you for all you and the North Mississippi Storm Chasers do to support us here on Mississippi Live Weather. We really appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Appreciate you for having us.
Okay, that's Adrian Roncajón up there he's in Tishomingo County up there close to, I think, Lake J.P. Coleman, north side there, close to Pickwick Lake, kind of monitoring this event. And this is one of the graphs we talked about kind of during our longer chat here. Again, we've been live for quite a while with this. And you can see the graph here. And unfortunately, I have to move this to where you can see it a little better. But really still kind of at its peak. Let me hit refresh on this, make sure we've got the absolute latest data. This is a kind of a 30-minute plot here. And so it kind of breaks down the index that we're looking at every 30 minutes on basically how charged the atmosphere is and the likelihood of us seeing active solar weather. And in particular, this is because the solar wind is carrying this toward us, the likelihood of seeing an aurora. And so when this is very high, clearly that is a high likelihood. And that's where we still find ourselves in a pretty high category as far as that is concerned. But what is an aurora, and what are the northern lights, and how's that work into what we're dealing with here? So again, this is a graphic meant to kind of try to explain that. So there is something going on all the time called the solar wind, and it is particles that are flowing from the sun, energy that we feel to a certain extent, with particles that are emitted from the sun that travel through space. Now, most of those, honestly, are directed around us because of the Earth's magnetic shield, and that the particles tend to follow those lines of those magnetic field lines. When we get into a situation where we have the northern lights showing up, we have an aurora, is when we get a strong ejection of the corona of the sun toward us. And so massive amounts of particles work their way toward us from the sun. And so on occasion, those particles are more charged and more plentiful than normal. And that's where we are with this. We had a little more than a day ago, an ejection of those particles toward us. And so when we get the northern lights to form is when those particles tend to follow those field lines in from the poles and down toward us. And so that can then allow those charged particles to reach the poles, along the magnetic field of the Earth. And so when that happens is when we end up seeing those particles colliding with molecules in the atmosphere, nitrogen and oxygen in particular. And so when they hit those molecules, they excite those molecules. And that's when we start getting the colors for the aurora, or the northern lights, that we've been seeing this evening. The colors in particular we've seen have primarily been your reds and your greens. And that then comes back to the oxygen molecules that have been excited from this. And so different molecules emit different colors. The majority of our atmosphere made up of nitrogen and oxygen. Thus, the colors we're most likely to see are going to end up being your reds, your greens, your blues, and your kind of purple sort of colors there. Nitrogen being the most plentiful, but oxygen, and when we start talking about some of those higher level ozone layer, for example, oxygen molecules part of that there, even though it's O3. Either way, point being, the oxygen molecules are the ones that gives us the red and the greens, and those have primarily been the colors that we have seen as we've gone into and through this evening here. And so, again, as we've also mentioned from time on numerous occasions, again, the colors, and the movement have to do with, again, the interaction of the particles and the magnetic field of the Earth. And so as the dancing look we get is those particles, again, working along the field lines as they're kind of working their way down toward the poles. And then if they use enough of them spreading beyond the poles, up in the ionosphere, which is one of the higher levels of the atmosphere. And so you get those cool shapes depending on the position of the Earth's magnetic field at the time at which it's hitting them. So that's where we get the northern lights and how that figures into here. Anyway, appreciate all of you for the many photographs that you have shared and do continue to share. It is certainly something that hopefully we've been able to kind of feature some of those, and certainly we'll try to feature more of those as we go into tonight. And certainly we have a pretty good gallery going on Facebook already as well. As far as the weather is concerned, again, let's get back to actual weather here for a moment. It's kind of a chilly evening out there. Showing temperatures right now in the mid 40s to low 40s, though we still show 49 actually in Columbus, easily our warmest spot there. 45 Iuka, Red Bay coming in 45, 44 for Boonville, and 43 degrees in Oxford. So kind of maintaining a little bit more mild temperatures than last night. That was anticipated, but we sit almost 20 degrees warmer in most spots than last night, with Senatobia, the big winner up there where Maggie is, 27 degrees warmer than last night at this moment. So a lot milder. Some southerly winds kind of helping to set the stage for that. And in Mississippi Live Doppler radar, there's no precipitation out there, though we have had just the littlest bit of cloud cover. You can see on this loop here, those are those kind of thin clouds that we were tracking, that we talked about, that was showing up in some of those pictures there coming at us from the north and west. High pressure is largely a story, and thankfully has kept us clear and allowed us to see the beautiful shots of the aurora this evening. We are watching a front back to the north and west. That will eventually move into the area, but we're not expecting any precipitation with that, and really not a ton of cloud cover with that as well. It's coming a little closer here on that, and you'll note that these additional substorms where we do end up seeing into the region, but we're starting to see more, again, those southerly winds for tomorrow, and that means one thing in particular. That means warmer air. I shouldn't say one thing, it means two things. That means warmer air, that also means slightly more moist air. And so I think that could probably lead to a more patchy fog, I think, by early Thursday morning, but for tomorrow, it pumps the temperatures up somewhat. And I think we'll be working our way into not just the 70s, maybe some mid 70s to upper 70s in the extended forecast here. So as we look over the course of the next 24, you'll definitely note here that that is going to continue to have our temperatures in the relatively mild category tomorrow, warmer than today, 65 at noontime tomorrow. We're 67 at 3 p.m. And while we go into the 50s by tomorrow evening, that is obviously more mild than we were even this evening, as we're working warmer and warmer day by day looking forward. Okay, our meteorologist Gabe Maynor and I will be breaking down a little bit more on that extended forecast here in a couple minutes. We'll look at a few more of your weather photographs, and we'll also break down everything you need to know related to obviously this warming trend and what this means for our Mississippi Live Game of the Week. We actually know the winner of our Game of the Week and where we're going to be Friday for our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Langston and Lott and Casey Lott. That's coming up here from the Room to Room Weather Center in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live weather continues.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
I felt accomplished after I got my diploma. Made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
March 24th, 2023. To collect a paycheck, I feel like Matt Lobhan has proven himself trustworthy.
But we're definitely on a downward trend, and that's the unfortunate part about it, but all good things must come to an end. I will say, still probably getting a little bit of a visual depending on how much exposure those cameras do have. And if you let it sit there, I think we saw a 10-minute exposure earlier, really amplified those colors. Wouldn't be an impossibility to continue to see that even on the lower end of our northern light spectrum.
I was going to say, the only place I'm kind of seeing, and I'm going to have to kind of cut over here to find it, I think Pontotoc, which again we had on the longest exposure, still has a little bit showing up. Hold on,
yeah,
that's the old image.
Oh,
so we'll give that a second. I know. Give it a second here. There's still a little bit there, maybe just the littlest bit in Mabin. And again, this is on a very long exposure, so it's going to take it a moment to get back going about now. Okay, so you can still see a little bit of red there at the top of the screen kind of showing up, but not nearly what we had at its peak, right?
We'll take it though. Not complaining one bit, because rarely do we get an event like what we've had tonight, and the fact that it's still going on somewhat at 10:17, hey, not complaining.
Yep, absolutely. So take it away on the forecast.
Well, forecast side of things, do you want me to talk about game of the week? I haven't pulled up, or do you want to take that over?
Oh, we can do that. Okay, hold on a second. Let's I'll send it. I'll pull up game of the week. I'm going to pop your audio back up. Give me a moment here. Nope, my behind the scenes didn't work, so I'm going to send it to you for game of the week, assuming it will go that way.
Sweet. Well, just need a drum roll from you for a game of the week.
Drum roll. Okay, ready? 3, 2, is that the right one? And go.
There we go. your winner for our Mississippi Live Weather Game of the Week for our playoff edition is going to be Okolona traveling to Faulkner. Going to be a good one between those two teams over there in Faulkner. 57% of the vote, so there's a pretty overwhelming majority voting for that matchup. That was 1,137 votes. Kemper County versus Water Valley, 318 votes. And then if we look at Westlands and Biggersville, trying to get a little bit of a comeback, but unfortunately came up just short at 559 votes. So Okolona, Faulkner, need a favor from you guys. Need those Spirit Squad submissions, and we do need those marching band pictures so we can go ahead and have those votes going for Wednesday and Thursday and, of course, Friday leading into the big game. This is going to be some playoff action between two teams that feel like they deserve to go to the next round. So excited to be out there with you guys. Haven't been to either of these teams. Haven't been to Faulkner so far this season. So very grateful that we get to go out to meet a few more folks that we may not have seen all season long. So come up there, say hey to us, snap a couple pictures, and of course, go vote for your respective team to see who comes out on top in this head-to-head matchup. We say it every week. The head-to-head matchup does not start at 7 p.m. on Friday. No, it starts Wednesday with the marching band and Spirit Squad vote. So thank you to everyone for voting, and we're excited to be up there in Faulkner this Friday night. So Matt, I know that it's going to be a cooler evening heading into our Friday, but we'll have a full breakdown on that forecast actually coming up right now. But are you excited to head to Faulkner?
I'm really excited to go to Faulkner. It's been a few years since I've been up that direction, so I'm really excited to go that part of Tippah County. It was a place where toward the end of the TV station we weren't covering quite as often. So I'm really excited to be able to get back up there and see all those folks here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
I'll take care of the first graphic, and I'm gonna hand the rest of this weather show over to you. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. I'll make my way over.
Okay, that'll work. Okay, so let's get this launched and going. My little switcher here behind the scenes, I'll hit the button and it doesn't want to go, but it went that time. So we'll be ready to talk to Gabe here in just a second. But yeah, clear skies and mid-40s out there in the Winona area right now on this beautiful evening. Good evening to y'all there in Montgomery County. Hopefully you're doing all right. Again, those 40s out there for temperatures. That's a lot above where we were last night at this time. And it's not just us, it's really across the entire region where we have, again, those lower to middle 40s out there. And Gabe, I think it unfortunately, it killed off all of our plants with the last two killing freezes.
Had to bring it up.
But the thing is, it's way deep down in Florida, too. That's the funny thing. Like, practically Orlando's in freeze warning. So at least we're not alone. And in our cases, it didn't kill agricultural crops. At least not ones that we didn't expect, right?
Well, and not ones that haven't needed to be harvested over the past few weeks. So we know this harvest season's happening right now. Farmers have been through the ringer this year when it comes to weather and crops. So probably ready to weather the weather literally away as they harvest those crops. But yeah, frosty, frozen conditions to start off this week, trending in the right direction. But yes, Matt mentioned it, and I've experienced it. Any of those crops that you did have outside that you were hopeful to produce a couple of tomatoes, did not produce it and died in the process. Went out there earlier this morning just watering it in hopes of it was the magic seed, and it just brought it back, but it did not. And I see those tomatoes just looking at me thinking, you know what, Gabe, we're so close. But next year, I promise I'll have some tomatoes, send you guys pictures, and it'll be a whole big kumbaya happy day. But yeah, unfortunate right now. Oh, hurts my heart. All right, temperatures across the region, like we definitely cool, but those feels like values dropping at a few degrees with those wind chill values. Out there in Georgia, we're talking well into that freezing and some below freezing areas. I mean, the fact that Tallahassee feels colder than Fayetteville, Arkansas, yeah, that doesn't happen too often, and that happens with a significant cold front. Still feeling the effects over there in Florida. That's why those freeze warnings are still in place, but we expect ours to be lifted as we get into those overnight forecasts. Our Mississippi Live Weather Radar keeps things dry. That slight bit of cloud cover moving through the region, that even clearing out overnight. So if there were to be a resurgence in our geomagnetic storm, then the potential to see some more clear conditions will be in the process as well. So keep an eye on that, and we'll of course keep you updated here at Mississippi Live Weather. Looking at that satellite imagery closer to home, of course, you do see those clear conditions across the region, and that'll continue to clear out overnight before more cloud cover moves in later on this week. So our Mississippi Live Weather day planner overnight stays calm, stays clear, and stays cool. 39 degrees by midnight.